What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunched Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Joyce, Oleksandr Usyk, and Team Joyce. Get this. Joyce's trainer points to pressure, body shots as a key against Oleksandr Usyk. The trainer of heavyweight contender Joyce thinks the key to defeating Oleksandr Usyk was revealed in his last fight. Ismail Salas, the respected trainer who has been working with London's Joyce for the past 5 years, said that he was struck by how Usyk responded to Joshua's body shots during their 12th round heavyweight unification match in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Although Usyk would go on to win on points to retain his title, Salas said that Usyk had enough shaky moments to convince him that Joyce would have his way with the skilled Ukrainian. Salas was likely thinking about the 9th round when Joshua had his most successful offensive spree, particularly with his combinations to the body that forced Usyk back on his heels. Salas thinks Usyk's brief show of vulnerability bodies well for Joyce, who is the top challenger for Usyk's WBO trinket and whom Salas believes is a far superior presser fighter than Joshua. He said, "I tell you one thing." He said, "I saw Usyk Joshua, the rematch. And in the rematch, Joshua started to work the body shots. And then we saw Usyk look a bit shaky. With Joe, it's a different story. Joyce, one, always smothers his opponents with pressure. So to handle Joyce's pressure through to the 12 rounds is not easy. Of course, he has an amazing chin too," Salas added, "but it's God's gift. Big heart, big determination, and the biggest pressure fighter you can find in the heavyweight division." And of course, we know that Joyce is coming off a spectacular win against Joseph Parker, being the only man that stopped Parker, okay? And he's riding high right now. And let me counterpunch. I think Joyce will be a problem for any fighter, okay? That's Wilder, that's Fury, that's Joshua, that's Usyk again. That's a lot of guys. Ask Daniel Dubois, ask Bermain Stavern, ask a lot of fighters that he's been in there with, and Joseph Parker now. You know, he's been in there with type fights and guys. Carlos Takam gave him a good fight, but it's still the outcome was the same. The pressure is relentless, okay? And he's able to take shots that a lot of people don't. Well, can he do that to Oleksandr Usyk? Is Oleksandr Usyk vulnerable to the body? And I would have to say, yes, he is. I've seen Usyk hurt to the body. He does not like body shots at all, okay? He doesn't like them. But here's the thing. Can Joyce withstand that type of onslaught from Oleksandr Usyk? See, Usyk beat Joyce and a no contact, partial contact, because they didn't have any headgear, in a tournament where Joyce never stopped swinging, but then he didn't win either. He's bigger now. Sure, he's bigger, he's older, he's more experienced. And I think Ismail Salas will have a game plan for Joyce to work the body. And here's the thing. Will the body shots be enough to stop Usyk in his onslaught? Because Joyce never stops, but neither does Oleksandr Usyk. You know, and I think the only way you stop Usyk, you just knock him out. So the thing is, does and can Joyce do it? He definitely has the power to. But then we also know Usyk is tricky. Usyk throws punches and angles. Thinking about Oleksandr Usyk taking on Joyce is like looking at Manny Pacquiao taking on Antonio Margarito. You know, because Margarito, good chin, don't go nowhere, relentless pressure, you know what I mean? Pacquiao being the smaller southpaw, throwing punches in bunches, landing, you know, a tremendous amount of offense, you know, but then Joyce never stops, but neither does, you know, Oleksandr Usyk. just like Antonio Margarito didn't stop. I think he did hurt Antonio Margarito in the 11th round. He did, and he kind of put him, he let off the gas, but he did that out of pity because he didn't want to hurt Antonio Margarito. And what he didn't know at the time, Antonio already had a broken eye. His orbital bone was already broken, fractured or whatever. So, but I've seen Oleksandr Usyk not like body shots. So, that would be a very, very successful punch to be throwing, or punches to be targeting his body. You hit the body, the legs will die, right? Or the head will die. You know what I mean? So I think he'll have a better chance of going to the body than hitting that head that's always on a swivel. But it is good to see Ismael Salas, do his homework on Oleksandr Usyk. He's doing his job. That's exactly what he's supposed to do. You guys tell me what you think of Oleksandr Usyk being vulnerable to body shots by Joyce. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunched. Peace.